We decided we'd like to go back to the future too. Would it be possible to travel back to a time before Zamasu and Dabra showed up? What is up guys, Blackscape here, and did you know that Future Trunks has a future in the Dragon Ball Super manga where he is pushed into going Super Saiyan God? And I'm not talking about Dragon Ball Heroes. If you know what I'm talking about, put it in the comment section below. Let me know what I'm talking about, what future, and what am I cooking up, because this one gets a little bit crazy and it's something that flies over most people's heads. But watch till the end of the video, see if you got it right after you drop that. And as always, huge shout out to the Black Squad. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Hitting that like button, commenting. You guys are the GOATs. Let's go ahead and jump in. So I made this video a few days ago asking for your ideas for videos, whether they be verses, what ifs, or theories, or just discussion videos. And if I chose one of these ideas, I would give you a shout out and make the video, and that is exactly what I'm doing today. Although I didn't know that by choosing this comment, by choosing this idea and this person, I would be going down a rabbit hole of just insanity when it comes to the Future Trunks storyline and how it's continuing to progress. The comment I chose is from Blackheart1852. Thank you for your comment. Here's a what if my brother and I cooked up the other day when I devolved into a rant regarding Future Trunks timeline. What if Trunks got the coordinates to New Namek? Now the major threats to the timeline are beat. He could possibly wish people back, bring Dende to be the Guardian, and imagine how that timeline would be since Frieza is still dead, the top didn't happen, Beerus never woke up for the Battle of Gods, and Broly is still chilling on Vampa with no Frieza to manipulate him. Very interesting theory, very interesting discussion, but it goes a lot more in depth when you actually look at exactly what he's talking about, because in the end of the Future Trunks versus Goku Black arc, we get this moment right here where Future Trunks and Mai want to go to another timeline where they say they want to go there before Zamasu and Dabra show up. Who is Dabra? Dabra is Deborah. I'm sure it's possible. Really? Whis, don't go telling them anything they don't need to hear. You're gonna end up creating another parallel world. But you've already made one yourself, haven't you, Lord Beerus? You can't. I don't know about that Dabra guy, but if Zamasu shows up again, you'll both end up getting killed. When they're talking about Dabra, they're talking about Deborah, and this is what the Supreme Kai says. If I don't get killed by Dabra, then Lord Beerus won't die either. If you explain the situation to him, I'm sure Beerus would eliminate them for you. And then Beerus goes on that he's got an ability, a technique that's able to defeat immortals, even though he can't kill them. And then Whis talks about how there would be two versions of both Mai and Trunks in this timeline, and Trunks is freaky, but is okay with that. That's perfectly fine for him. But what are they talking about? They are talking about this right here. In the fight against Babidi and Deborah, Babidi does this to the Supreme Kai. This is what pushes Trunks, as we know now, to go into his rage mode, or at least a more amped up version of Super Saiyan 2 at minimum, and allows him to push back Deborah. Deborah summons a spear to try to kill Trunks with it, and that is when the Supreme Kai uses the last little bit of energy he's got left to hold Deborah in place while Trunks does his finish Buster move on him and destroys him. After this, the Supreme Kai, you can see the light going out of his eyes. They defeated Babidi and Deborah, making it so Boo never gets summoned in this timeline, and then he dies, and it says, and that's how the Supreme Kai's lives were sacrificed in order to stop the revival of Majin Buu. But that was merely a sample of the impending despair that was to come. How wonderful. I finally found a timeline where that meddlesome god of destruction of the 7th universe doesn't exist, because Goku Black, or Zamasu, only looked for a timeline where the God of Destruction wasn't there, and he found one in this scenario where the Supreme God dies, so Beerus dies, which, I mean, he's gonna have a little bit of a grace period until they find another God of Destruction, which could take a while, so it's not like they won't have one, but in this timeline, Beerus is dead, and Goku Black is the one that comes. And that's why Future Trunks asks for a timeline where Deborah and Zamasu aren't there yet, because in his new form, he could probably easily take care of Deborah, that's perfectly fine, even just kill Babidi, no Majin Buu. But at the same time, if he does go into that universe and destroy them and save the Supreme Kai, Beerus won't show up, meaning Zamasu won't show up. And honestly, once he goes and talks to Beerus about what ended up happening in the other timelines, then Beerus could take care of Zamasu himself, similar to what happened in our universe. But that is where this gets interesting, and that's where I go into Blackheart's theory, because when this happens, it's not a question of if this happens. We know that this part is going to happen. There's going to be 2 Trunks, 2 Mais. We know that. We know that Trunks is going to stop the Supreme Kai from getting killed, and he's going to save him, meaning that when he goes into this timeline, he is going to meet up with that Trunks, that version of himself that could not defeat Deborah before the Supreme Kai dies, meaning that he's going to save the Supreme Kai, and that means that Beerus will survive. Beerus at this moment in time is sleeping. Remember in Dragon Ball Super, he is passed out and he awakens with a dream for the Super Saiyan God. The fight that Trunks has with Deborah happens during the Buu arc for this timeline, for those timelines. And so Beerus is still asleep, meaning that Trunks would have time with his doppelganger and Mai's doppelganger to either catch up, train, whatever, until Beerus has that dream, he wakes up from it, and then he's able to be told about what is going on with Zamasu potentially turning evil, and then Beerus can confront him. But that's the thing, when Beerus wakes up, he is going to wake up wanting to search for the Super Saiyan God, and Trunks, being the only other Super Saiyan, both Trunks, they are going to be the ones that are going to be showing up anyway. They're not going to have a situation where Beerus is going to be hunting down the Super Saiyan God. Trunks and Trunks are both going to be looking for him and going to be right there. This is where the story diverges and where we go into this theory, because there is not enough Saiyans to create the Super Saiyan God, and there is no Dragon Balls, but Trunks has been in our universe, and this is headcanon, this is not something that I know, but I feel like, I mean, him with being with Bulma and knowing everything that's going on in our version of Dragon Ball, he would know about the Super Saiyan God, Blue, all that stuff, but he would also know about, and he would know that there are Dragon Balls on New Namek and where the coordinates for New Namek are. Meaning that, because he doesn't have the Dragon Balls on Earth to ask about the Super Saiyan God ritual, which I would, again, use my headcanon that he was told what the Super Saiyan God ritual is on his excursion in our universe again, obviously because he knows about Super Saiyan Blue and all that stuff. I would imagine he already knows what the ritual is, but he needs more Saiyans. So he would have to, in order to not only indulge Beerus, because Beerus wants to face off against the Super Saiyan God, but at the same time he needs Beerus to destroy Zamasu, he would have Whis and Beerus take him to New Namek where the coordinates are. And to be honest, he probably could just ask them where New Namek is anyway. Hey, take me to New Namek, and the Dragon Balls are there. Use those Dragon Balls to summon Shenron, and then use the 3 wishes from Shenron to wish back Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta. When those 3 are back, now we have 5 Saiyans. We have Goku, Vegeta, future Gohan, because obviously he'd come back in the way that he died, and then we'd have 2 Trunks, meaning that they have enough Saiyans there to make the Super Saiyan God ritual happen, giving it probably to the Trunks that came from the other timeline, because he is the main character of the story. And then he would face off against Beerus. Beerus would let him live, knowing how powerful the Saiyans can become, and then he would go defeat Zamasu. And now we have all the Saiyans back on Earth. Now, whether they decide to wish back the rest, everybody else, like Piccolo and everybody else, more than likely that's going to happen, meaning that everything will be reverted back to the way it was, at least on that, in that timeline, with just subtle differences, with the population being very low, hadn't gone through multiple extermination attempts, and then having two Trunks, two Mais, and having access to the knowledge of the Super Saiyan Blue hierarchy and all the gods and stuff like that from Trunks. So this is a really interesting theory, and honestly, diving deeper into it, it is very, very intricate, but I loved going into it. Let me know what you guys think, and again, if you guys have any ideas for any theories, anything like that, let me know in the comments below. If I pick your theory, I will give you a shout out. Take it easy, guys.
Subscribe for more content.